Welcome to Daily Split. We've got a really good show for you tonight. Don't leave the room. Daily Split tonight. In our show, we've got our regular features. We have House of Common Sense, and tonight I really go out on a limb. I'm going to be talking about the Bible. And in Right Business, we've got business and fun pieces of information from businesses and startups and entrepreneurial things. And in Right Edition, we've got conservative/right-wing lifestyle for you from around the world, pieces of news and so on. And in our interview section, we have a guy tonight that I'm interviewing, interesting man. His name is Mischa Popoff. And he's from the Okanagan Valley in Kelowna, British Columbia, and in that area at least. And the topic is about organic farms. And, organic, who would have thunk it? I mean, what would you think? You just kind of think it's got a stamp on it. It's organic. I know what that is, and I can eat it. Not so fast. There's lots of other information about organic that you can only learn here, so stick around. Right Edition, the news brought to you the right way. And the news is brought to you tonight in part by Doug Balog. Doug Balog sells sunshine. He's in Palm Desert, California, and Canadians go there so often and from so many places. WestJet has nonstop flights direct from Toronto, Regina, Saskatoon, etc. Give him a call. He's a fellow Canadian. He knows the routine, and he's down there. He'll sell you some sunshine. It's also brought to you, this show, by a realtor in Edmonton, Remax, landandloving.com. Edmonton is a booming spot of our entire country. There's so much activity and things going on there, and if you want to invest there or move there or whatever you're doing, give him a call. Thanks for that. Now I wanted to share some real stuff with you, and to start with, I know that Christmas is past. I get it, but I wanted to share a little bit of Christmas stuff with you because it's so cute. It's about goats. It only takes about 30 or 40 seconds out of your life. I know you won't get it back, but humor me. Watch this. Isn't that cool? I wish I had found that before Christmas. Someone sent it to us, one of our many viewers, and thanks so much for it. But you know what? We just don't get to open all of our mail promptly because we get hundreds and hundreds of emails every day. Finally got to this one and the season was already past, but wasn't that fun? Hey. Now, in keeping with news, I'll get away from, no, I'm not. This is still Christmas. This happened down in the United States at the Claremont United Methodist Church, and they had a gay scene in front of the church, and a couple of people have been charged now because they went and they destroyed the statues, they knocked them over, they had two men, wise men holding hands and things like that, and they've now termed it to be a hate crime based on it being church property, as well as a wooden box knocked over that had two males holding hands and so on. Hey, who knew? Just wanted to share all that stuff with you, Now get it away from Christmas a little bit because we are in the middle of January. The Conservative Party is kind of doing well these days in the polls. The Liberal Party is not so well. And recently in the Globe and Mail, a reporter there said this. He said the conventional wisdom around Ottawa boils down to this. The Liberals are done because they don't have any ideas or policies. I don't know that that's accurate. My take on that is they have lots of ideas and lots of policies. They're all socialists. They're left-wing, wacko kinds of things. I think it's the people that have changed. The Liberal Party hasn't changed. The internet and all kinds of new things in the world as we know it today has allowed us to be more informed, more in charge. We've taken hold or grabbed hold of that, and we've decided as a country, I think we don't want socialist people around running our country. That's why we have a conservative government. I don't think it's them so much as it's us. A group of doctors now in Toronto are calling for an end to charges for failing to disclose HIV positive status to sexual partners. Doctors are saying, hey, you know, that's an interference. You should let people just go out and what they do. I disagree with them. Most Canadians disagree with them. If you have AIDS and that disease actually kills people and you have a sexual partner and don't tell them, that's premeditated murder. These same doctors, for the most part, are against guns. For instance, at least with a gun, you kind of aim it and you load it and people see it happening. Here, you don't have anything coming at you until afterwards. That's premeditated murder and they should be treated accordingly. I mean, who are doctors to be going into this political arena anyway? Columbia University now has a new course. This is kind of interesting, I guess. I think it's pretty weird, but it's called Occupy 101, and if you pepper spray somebody, that could even count as an extra credit. Columbia University is offering this new course on Occupy Wall Street now in the next semester, sending upperclassmen and grad students into the field for full course credit. Into the field meaning you have to go out and occupy somewhere. It's another left-wing wacko thing. Pinkos, they're out, they're walking among us. They continue to do that. And the class is taught by Dr. Appel, who boasts about her nights camped out in a park. And she says, I do this all of the time because I want to make sure that the rich pay. We want redistribution. Well, that's okay as long as I get the redistribution and as long as it doesn't come from me. You know, left-wing people, they really make me crazy because they don't get it. Recently, there was a tragic situation in Alberta. There was 4 deaths. 3 of them were committed by murder, and the 4th man took his own life. He followed the car from Lethbridge, I believe, almost to Calgary, got out of the car, and a lot of you may have heard this or read about it. It was very tragic. Just before Christmas, 2 of the boys were flying home, I think, to Prince Edward Island, certainly the Maritimes, for Christmas, and they were murdered. So this man wrote this to the Calgary Herald. This would be a letter to the editor. He says the chance meeting set the stage for mass murder, and Derek Jensen shot 4 people before killing himself. And he used a handgun, a device that is designed and manufactured for the sole purpose of killing human beings. That was his story. And Tony Bernardo, he's the president of the CSSA. That would be the Canadian Shooter Sports Association, the other way around, mix that up. But in any event, he also wanted to contribute to this, or he too wrote a letter to the Calgary Herald, and he said this. Rick Patterson, the man that had written the other letter, has his history a little mixed up. Handguns were not designed to kill people. They are defensive tools designed to prevent someone from killing you. That's why we give them to police, border officers, and bank guards. Until we stop blaming objects for the deeds of the evil or insane, we will continue to be plagued with horrors. Hey, there you go. That's kind of the story with that. Now let me end today going back to Christmas. 2 things with Christmas. 1, I got a Christmas mug. Exciting, huh? I got to get, talking about Tony Bernardo. Tony, you would like my mug. I got to get Daily Split written on it, but isn't that cool? You don't make me mad, I'll shoot you with my mug. Also, another Christmas thing, at the end of the day, there was an old couple sitting together, and the old man, they were both in their 90s, and he said, whatever happened to our sexual relations, he said to her. Her reply was, I don't know. I don't think we even get a Christmas card anymore from any of them. My guest is Mischa Popoff, and Mischa has written a book, and the name of it is It Organic? Hi, Mischa.
Hi, Brian.
That's a pretty cool book. I read a little bit of it, and it's kind of fascinating, actually, and I just want to do some bullet points here to you, and you can answer accordingly. The inside story about who destroyed the organic industry, turned it into a socialist movement, and made millions in the process. What does that mean?
Well, there are a lot of people who've never worked a day on a farm in their life, and somehow they got involved in this and actually are running it now.
Yeah, and you go on here to say it's a comprehensive history of farming, welfare, and Western civilization from way back when to now. How do you get welfare and all of that in with organic, like the title, organic?
Well, what happened was the organic industry started in earnest in the 1920s, but I trace it back to the mid-17th century. And in both cases, it was really a Christian movement, and that Christianity's kind of been squeezed out, and we're left with sort of a pagan earth worship now.
How did it become or originate as a Christian movement? What does that mean?
Well, let's go to the...
We're talking organic.
Yeah. Right after World War I, the Germans invented the means by which we pull nitrogen out of the air to make synthetic ammonium nitrate fertilizer. The organic industry decided right at that point, we're going to stick with compost. And those people just happened to be Christians, and it was the Council for Church and Countryside in England in the 1920s that really began the organic movement that we know of today.
Isn't that interesting? Now, are you a Christian?
Yes.
Yeah, your name, Misha, what is that?
That's a Russian name.
Yeah, and Popoff?
That's Doukhobor.
Yeah, what's a Doukhobor?
The Doukhobor, the name was applied to us back in Russia as an insult. It means literally spirit wrestler, as I allude to Jacob in the Bible. Wrestled with the spirit, trying to figure things out. But the insult, our elders, I guess you could say, back in Russia decided, well, let's go with that. That sounds good. And the name is stuck ever since.
Doukhobor, you have lots of wives? Well, what's separate? I
Nope.
don't.
No, just
You only have
the
one? Okay,
Yeah.
well, that's cool. And like, it's, you live in British Columbia, like you're not in Bountyville.
That's right. We're here in
Just checking.
in the Okanagan.
Yeah.
But I was born and raised in Saskatchewan.
Yeah, and you were a farmer.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
you're qualified how or why to write a book about the organic food industry?
Great. Well, we were an organic farm before there was really such thing as a certified organic farm in Canada. And then in 1993, we became certified. And then I became an organic inspector in 1998.
Yeah, what is an organic certification?
Sadly, it's basically a lot of paperwork. And I did that for 5 years and realized, you can have all the paperwork you want, but it won't prove anything.
Yeah, like if I have an apple, typically before I bite into it, I know I'm going to get hit with a whole bunch of chemicals, right? But if I pay a higher price and it's organic, the theory is that there's no chemicals there. However, pardon the long verbiage here, however, a recent study shows that 90% of all fish labels that the government puts on fish are incorrect. Does that roll over to this business?
Yeah, definitely there's a parallel there, Brian, because in both cases, the government is just running on paperwork, pure paperwork. And Bernie Madoff proved you can falsify paper.
Yeah, he did a good job with that.
He did.
Yeah. So where does this socialist movement come into play here? Like I'm trying to piece all that together. What's that got to do with organic farming?
Well, what happened? Farmers started the official organic movement, but as they got squeezed out of the picture, as they weren't in the room when the conferences were being held, more and more urban socialists came in.
Yeah, like who's in charge of the business? Like, is it regulated? Like, can I go out and just say that something's organic, put a label on it, and sell it, and charge more money, and it isn't necessarily organic?
No, you'll apply for certification through a certification agency.
Let's go back to apples. So I have an orchard. We're in the Okanagan Valley today. So I have an orchard. I'm raising apples, and I can say it's organic, and I don't put all this stuff on. But what if I say it's organic, and
And you do put
And I do.
prohibited substances.
Can
on.
I? Are there inspectors?
Yeah, there are inspectors, but we come, we phone ahead.
Have you been
That's
an
the first
inspector?
problem. Yeah, for 5 years. And there's no surprise inspections and no test will be done on your apples. Not a single test.
As an inspector, what do? You just come and say, nice apple, and go home?
Yeah, we look over your paper. We spend about 3 hours looking over your paperwork where you've indicated that you weren't using any prohibited substances. And that's really your word.
Really?
Yeah.
So you don't test any of the product?
No testing, and I will have a look around your farm, but remember, you knew I was coming, so you burned the bags of fertilizer before I got there.
Every organic item that is sold in a retail store hasn't actually been tested.
Correct. In the United States, they're planning to begin testing 5%, just 5%. And in Canada, though, there is no testing. I think 5% is at least a step in the right direction, but there's nothing in Canada.
And the labeling isn't checked either. So if I buy and pay a double price for organic beef because I believe the critter was out roaming in Nebraska and eating good green grass, that's not true necessarily.
Not necessarily. There's no way of knowing. Some people ask me.
Do you think it's not true?
Oh, yeah. And to peg it at what percentage, it's an unknown. It's totally unknown because there's no testing. It would be like having speed traps without radar guns. So the police are what? They're just sort of trying to ballpark your speed by visual inspection. It just doesn't work.
Where are you politically? Are you right or left?
I guess I'd be right, small c conservative.
Do you think the government should be involved in this then? Because typically right-wing people, we don't like the government's involvement much, but in terms of this, I think they should be. Do you agree?
Oh, well, they are, but their involvement is totally useless.
Yeah, so they need to come at it from a different angle, like go out and make sure we don't get poisoned.
Yeah, get out of the office.
And get fairness for what we spend and so on. So this book, how do you get it? Is it in stores? You can buy it? Do you have a website? What's the deal?
Go to my website, www.isitorganic.ca, and you can link to my publisher's website.
What's the price?
It's on sale right now for the Christmas season, $29.95.
Well, we're past Christmas, but that's close enough for the New Year's season.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
It'll stay on sale into first week of January.
Okay, got it. Now, you had mentioned, I saw some verbiage in here with regard to like a Cuba kind of takeover by the bad guys. They're going to, control the food and everything else. And how many farms are there in Canada and in the U.S.? And then kind of get to that question that I just asked.
Sure. Well, there's about 5,000 certified organic farms in Canada and almost 10 times that in the United States. But here's the big clincher. There are certified organic farms in China, which are certified to the American and Canadian standards. So you pick up that apple, Brian, and it'll say USDA certified. Well, heck, you might think that apple was grown in Washington, but it came from China. And the organic industry loves that. They want to help China and Mexico and Brazil. And
But how, back to the control, the Cuba communist kind of thing, how can that happen? I mean, it's our food. I'm growing my apples, so where do I fall into that?
Well, the urban organic activists, if you can believe it, Brian, they actually think there are too many people on the face of this earth, and they think Cuba is a haven. They think the way they run their food system is just beyond reproach.
Yeah. What made you do this? What inspired you to write the book?
Well, first, it was just the technical fact that there's no testing. And then you start realizing there's these political connections to the extreme left of totalitarianism. They want to control the food system.
Yeah, and you think we're being taken advantage of, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm with you. Kind of sounds to me like we are a little bit. I just want to have a good apple at a good price, and I want people not to lie to me, and I want to be comfortable that the government's telling me things that I can be comfortable with, and that's not happening.
Not in the least.
And you got a lot of pages here, as in hundreds of pages, so you've got done a lot of research, over 500 pages. All kinds of what kind of information's in here?
Hard examples of where I experienced as an inspector what must be cheating, and some people will say, well, you don't know for sure. Yeah, because there was no test. If they had just done a test, then if I was wrong, the farmer would have been exonerated.
Yeah, governments probably don't like you much. Is that fair?
Probably not. But the organic farmers, the real organic farmers here in North America, they are so wrong done by right now, Brian. They're being crushed by this influx of cheap, certified organic food from, like I say, China, Mexico, and Brazil. And they want an objective scientific system because it'll protect them, frankly.
Yeah. This is interesting. All of you people, if you want to buy the book, you know where to get the book if you want to, or if you're interested in reading it. I just want to kind of close off today, though, with a little bit more about the Doukhobor thing. I think if I was to go ask my children what's a Doukhobor, they probably wouldn't know even a Hutterite and so many other names. And so I just want to quickly share with our audience. A Doukhobor is about communal living. Was that the original concept?
It was out of necessity. Doukhobors were kind of the catch-all in Russia of people who didn't fit in elsewhere in society. And then we came to Canada in that guise as communal farmers. But I'm proud to say my ancestors on my side of the family, they went into private farming in the 1920s.
And so how many Doukhobors are there?
Oh, hard to peg, probably 10 or 20,000, but there's a lot of half Doukhobors and quarter Doukhobors.
Is it still like communal living?
No, not even in BC, where the really radical element came after the communes were broken up in the prairies.
We're out of time. I'd like to talk more about that, but anyway, we'll say goodbye to everybody. Thanks very much for your attention, attendance, all that stuff, and we'll see you.
Thanks, Brian.
Okay, see ya. Right Business is brought to you by the CSSA, that would be the Canadian Shooting Sports Association. This is all about business. Now, we're still in the Christmas season a little bit. I know it's the middle of January, but I'm still kind of hung up a little bit on that. It was a happy time, I'm already looking forward to next Christmas next year, this year. In any event, I just wanted to share with you some religious companies and their involvement in the business world. So many people are not aware of big companies like Walmart, that they're involved. They're intensely religious in their own way, and they share it with all of their customers, and so often the customers don't even realize that it's in fact being shared with them. Plenty of name brand companies are in that business of sharing religious thoughts, and a lot of it might even be subliminal. Walmart, for instance, carries Christian books that were once exclusive property of Christian bookstores, and they now have in their stores the various books, and they have contributed huge amounts of floor space to it. And if you go into any Walmart and take note of that, you'll stand back and say, hey, what's up with this? Because it is very obvious once you pay attention, because that's their belief. Another store is Forever 21, and this is a young woman's clothing line, and the clothing that they sell is kind of sexy even, and yet at the bottom of every shopping bag they have scripture quotes there, and from the Bible, mostly from the New Testament. Whole Foods is a organic food company, and the co-founder there is a Buddhist, and he's hooked on religion, whether it be his or other people's. And when I say he's hooked on religion, I guess I really mean he's hooked on good living and morality and faith and so on, and he infers all of that back to the customer on the receipts that they get, and also on the bags that they take their products home with them, or their purchases. Tom's of Maine, another company that does the same. Again, there are so many. Here's one though that's really interesting, Tyson Foods. It's the world's largest chicken company, and they actually employ their own team of chaplains, and they minister employees on a daily basis. A lot of Muslims and other people, I guess, are taking exception to that these days, because they also work and say, hey, where's my guy? But in any event, Tyson so far is still sticking with their tradition and their beliefs, and that's what they want to do. And Kellogg's has a similar situation also. Lots of business ideas, and here's one I wanted to share with you with regard to walking a dog. So many people are in the dog and pet business these days, and they're making lots of money, and there's lots of opportunities for all of you people to get involved in that if you chose. But this particular one kind of goes beyond that normal business thing, I guess. Here's a man that walks 16 dogs a day, and kind of dog sitting, dog playing. I want to share a video with you, and I want you to watch it. It's kind of fun. Have a look. How would you like to take all of those dogs out every day? He takes them on his bike, and then he takes them for a swim and so on. At least they're well trained. They're disciplined. I mean, it's real fun to watch how they kind of get out of the way from all the other people that are coming down the road, and even people with other pets. So it's kind of amazing. So maybe he's a trainer also. Big money in them there heels. Hey, see ya. In Canada, we elect our federal politicians, and we send them to Ottawa, and they go to the House of Commons, and the House of Common Sense comes from us, the citizenry, and we're only hopeful, of course, that our elected politicians have a lot of that common sense also. My interview tonight made me think about books and authors, because, of course, we spoke about that, the book that he wrote, and made me think about the Bible. The Bible's a best-selling book of all time since recorded history here, and I say recorded history, meaning actually from the middle 1800s to the middle 1900s. That's when the last tally was actually done or taken, and that number then was reflected over 2 billion books sold. And that's a big number, and there's many more books in addition to that have been sold, but they've never been recorded. No one will ever know the number. Our governments now are trying so hard to keep God out of everywhere. They want him out of the schools, and they want him out of, I guess the churches he can stay for a while, but they want him even out of the national anthem. And there's so much talk and chatter going on. It made me kind of think about the Bible. And the Bible, you know, it's been around a long time. It started to be written, I guess, about 1,600 years ago. And then 400 years ago now, King James, he got 54 scholars in a room, and he said, hey guys, God chose me. I'm connected to God. It's my divine right to rule, and that's a gift from God. And as a consequence to all of that, I want you all to get into 3 separate rooms so you don't chat, and I'll come from time to time and chat with all of you, and we're going to write a new Bible. We're going to do the interpretation from Hebrew over to English, and he did that. And today that's the best-selling book, of course, the version of it, and that would be the King James Version. There's more than 30,000 sorts or types of Christians today, and it's all as a direct result of interpretation. It's almost like a political party, as if you don't like something, you go off and you form your own party so you can make your point, right? And that's been going on for hundreds and hundreds of years, thousands actually with regard to Christianity. And so now there's more than 30,000 little groups, not all so little so much, but certainly they're there. There's been all kinds of misprints. God said, hey, you guys, I gave you a brain and here's a pencil, go to work and write the Bible. And that's been done in so many words, even from Hebrew over to English, just don't compute. In the original Bible, it said, thou shalt not commit murder. And in the King James translation, it says, thou shalt not kill. Big difference. A lot of people didn't even go and fight for their country because they said, hey, the Bible says you can't kill. That's not what God said. And I got lost in the translation. Was that King James? I mean, did he have an influence? Of course he did. He was a weird guy in many respects. I mean, I don't know. Royalty is royalty. But back then, there were different things going on at different times. The Bible today, as recently as just a couple of years ago, it was discovered that there's more than 3,000 errors in the latest version of the, when I say errors, I'm talking typos and so on, in the latest version of the King James Bible. And back in 1850 some odd, there was a big study done, and they found that there was over 30,000 mistakes in the Bible when you compared to 6 different books that had been written, all King James versions. I mean, and then there's another case of Bible writing that was actually referred to as a vinegar translation because it, you know, kind of smelled, I guess. And that is that the scholars forgot the word not in the 10 Commandments. So instead of saying thou shalt not murder, it says thou shalt murder. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt commit adultery. People got excited about that. Hey, in any event, you get my point. Humans, we make mistakes. We've been humans too long, maybe, but you know what? It's not all God's word. God gave us what to work with, but then we worked with it. And again, the verbiage in the translations, there's been a lot lost in that. So does that make it still the good book? Yes, it does. It is a good book. Do governments have the right to keep it out of our schools and other things like that? No, they don't. That's not common sense, and they should have a little bit of common sense with regard to the good book, don't you think? And so ends another program of Daily Split. Thanks so much for sharing your time Sunday night with us. And we look forward to seeing you all back here next week, because we will be here same time, same place. And we have information always from the right perspective, the conservative lifestyle, and we like to share that with people whenever we can. If you want to see this show or parts of it again, or any other television show that we've had, go to our website, www.dailysplit.com. We have a TV tab there. Click it and you can see what we've done in the past. We've also got tabs for Facebook and Twitter, and we like to share with you, and you can share with us throughout the week. Tell us what you think. It's important to us. We like to know what everybody's thinking about our program so we can make changes accordingly in the cha-cha. And so again, if you want fresh information, also go to our website throughout the week, www.dailysplit.com. How many times can I say that? Because we have stuff there for you. So come and join us, and we'll see you next week too.